Hey,
What's going on,
we
everybody?
live.
We
Coming
live.
straight from the motherland. Anybody?
I know. What's going on, everybody? We live.
All right. So let me see if I can stop the music. So welcome. What are we? Episode 2.
We are episode 2.
So
Episode
we
2.
did
Can you
episode 0, episode 1, and now episode 2. I think we have some. We're still learning that we have technical difficulties. I'm hearing some background, some feedback in the background.
Are you really right now?
I think we fixed it now, right?
I don't hear anything. Yes. I'm good. Hopefully everybody's good. I think you guys are good.
Yeah. Let me put the live on because before I already know it's gonna happen. Let's see. Or I already know it's gonna.
You good? It could be live.
There we go.
Y'all really seeing all the technical difficulties to make it interactive, to make it fun, but it's cool. It's cool. Hey, today, what we talk about, Gio? What we doing?
Oh, SOS. So again, this still has no name, but we're centering on SOS for some time. And I think what we learned from our feedback from episode 0, which was 2 episodes ago, was to make SOS one thing. So we started with sharing our story, then we went to sharing our strategy, and now we're going to be sharing our success. Is that what we said?
We're actually shaping. We're actually
shaping. See? Shaping.
So what has shaped our success?
Shaping. What has
still
shaped our success?
But we're still sharing though. But we're sharing how all of our lessons, all of the failures, all of this, the wins that we had, what shaped our success to get to where we are today. And so that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to be talking about. Hopefully giving you guys some pearls that you guys take in your own careers, especially if you're thinking about going into healthcare as healthcare students or STEM students, all the way to STEM professionals, all the way to entrepreneurs and real estate investors, architects. Anything, you can learn anything from anybody as long as you're open to it. So hopefully the things that we have learned are going to help you go at your next stage at whatever decision that you're trying to do. And so that's what we're here to talk about. So Gio, since you came up with this question, I'm gonna keep being like the moderator if you don't mind. But Gio, I'll never forget when I first met you. Didn't know you. Just saw this brother with a tan suit, killing the game, walking down an aisle, being announced as a national leader in our profession. But tell me, what has shaped your success on this journey that is called life?
Journey called life. And I think, to be fair, and if we're going to keep this real, like we always contend to do, while I know I'm successful in a few arenas, I think I'm still on this journey called life. And so as I think of like what has gotten me so far in shaping our success, is knowing it's always bigger than me. It's not shaping my success. It is shaping our success. And my ability to understand that I'm the first of 3 boys, not the first of 1. That my mother and father, my mom is the first of 12, and my dad is the baby of 5. And so just knowing that, like, hey, my origin story and where I come from, and not just where I come from, everything that I'm doing is for things and people and visions beyond me. And so that's probably the first thing, is just really being grounded in my origin story and the origin story of things that are bigger than me, beyond me, and that I'm connected to others. I'm connected to people. I'm connected to communities, both which are in the United States, i.e. I was born in Dallas. I'm a Cowboys fan, but raised in Houston. So shout out to the University of Houston and Texas Southern. But then also that I'm from not just African descent, Nigerian descent, and not just Nigerian Edo State. And that I come from both royalty on my mother's side, but then the slums and the hood on my father's side, and that I physically have been there to see that. And I think as I'm taking this and sharing it and imparting it with people that may be listening, that may know their origin story or that may not, how are you doing the work and putting in the work to either find it or define it. And so if you can go back to through questions, through actually physically being there to find it, or say, hey, I'm starting now. I'm starting from where I'm at. Like, how do I reflect on the things that have gotten me here and define it and continue that story over and over again? I think that's the first thing. And the most important thing after you've done that is to know that it's bigger than you. You're put on this earth and this world for a purpose that is bigger than you. And to also understand that what's supposed to happen can't happen without you. And so, how do you understand that you do play a role in the things that are bigger, but then you also need others around you, a circle, the O in the SOS in terms of what has shaped our success. So, Josh, I'll pass it to you. You want to share a little bit about at least the the origin? If you know anything else from episode one, we figured out that there's frameworks, and so this first part of this framework is grounding the the grounding. And I'll help you out. It's probably going to be 4 G's. I just came up with it right now. Keep that same energy. It's 4 G's. So the first G is about grounding in your origin. So how are you grounding in your origin story
Yeah.
and the circle of others? Josh?
Yeah, no, you start with family. And when you're born into this world, you're born into a family, whether you accept it or not. And I think about, I'm gonna bring up my two fathers. So my dad, who's a minister in his own right, always talked about serving others. So the acts of service is something that has always been innate to me, and it's always bigger than you, like you said. It's always serving the bigger picture, no matter what you're going through, no matter the issues or concerns that you have. Always do that, because serving others, that's what it's about. You never know what somebody's in need of, and I think that's something that has always been invested into myself, my little sister, and then seeing my mom also serve. So they both serve together, and so seeing them serve for over 30 something years, as they've been married, has been a blessing to for me. But on the other side, my late father-in-law, I actually got a chance to go and visit where his family is, and all my aunts and my uncles. And the biggest thing that I heard from everybody that talked about him is that he was all about supporting our supporters. So he not only did he support people that brought him up when he was growing up, and that really invested in him and cultivated him, but also he gave back to those in the community. There was never a time where somebody asked Pops for anything he wasn't willing to give out to somebody, whether it was fixing a car, cutting grass, doing all that kind of stuff, or taking care of horses, whatever it was. My late father-in-law, he would do that. And so it's really about, how do you support our supporters? And our supporters is not only those people that have supported us as we have matriculated whatever goal that we have, but how do we also support those future generations? And so he did that with me, even without trying to. He's done that for so many other people, and it's a great thing to see that, because as we are supporting other individuals, that is how we build community. That's how we build ecosystems of support, culture of service, a culture of gratitude. That's one way to showcase gratitude. That's one way to showcase appreciation. Is actually being there for somebody in their time of need. It's not the highest of highs that people want that support. It's really when they're going in those valleys, when they're in like a really dark place, or they can't see their way through something. And that's how we build those ecosystems and change that. So I've learned that from both of my fathers, and that's what I continue to do today. And that's what's made me successful, because they really have shaped me into that servant. That way I can support others through acts of service. I know how to put a little A in there, but it's okay. Um, so go ahead, Gio. You have to say something?
Nah, I was just learning from some of the stuff you're saying, and I think also I said and tried to force feed a framework. I'm not, because I think where you're going and where you went was quote unquote off framework. Because I said something about G's, and sometimes I do that too. But I think even in that, it's the ability, like what another thing that has shaped our success is our ability to not just support our supporters, but learn from our supporters, learn from others. And even in the moment right now, like know when, like, hey, you might have a vision or something, and you're open to your partner or others to like change the trajectory. Which, by the way, I don't see how you get all of these tools to put stuff on the screen, and I don't have these same tools. So that's hilarious. Which is also in the moment something like sometimes people have tools that you don't have, and your ability to be connected to them has also shaped our success. And I want to be more specific. I think so many times we talk about success as this esoteric thing, and so both Josh and I are pharmacists. We've both gone to and through pharmacy school, but there was an organization that helped very tangibly shape our success from the beginning. And that organization is called SNAFA, the Student National Pharmaceutical Association. And why that organization is important is because it was the first time that, at least I'll speak for me, Josh can speak to himself, but we actually got to know each other through that organization, where you get to lead people on campus, on your specific campus. Then you also get to lead people regionally, like people, I'm from Houston, Texas. So I was in Region 4. And so being able to lead a conference, of my first ever time putting in the work to not just lead a conference for the first time for me, but I created history by leading a conference with my team, Femi, DJ, and Amanda. The first time that any SNAFA conference in the 40-year history of the organization at that time had a conference in Houston. Like, I got to do and see that, and to know that I can create history that allowed me to know, like, wow, I could serve nationally on that national board, which then further allowed me to be exposed to the world of the pharmaceutical industry in terms of the FDA and Bristol Myers Squibb. And that was important because, again, I just took that first step to be a part of an organization. We talk about being a part of things that are bigger than us, but how are you taking steps to do so and being consistent over the time to do that? And that's great, George, great resume background for you. What, like, the takeaway for a student that is currently in school listening right now, or a professional that is beyond school right now and working in their place of work? How are you developing and being a part of networks and communities that allow you to practice the things that you wanted to do, and then also exposing you to what you didn't even think was possible? I think SNAFA was a very, very, very big part of that. And still to this day, almost a decade beyond, I have found ways through my job and or through my school to continue to not just give back, but to develop new pathways through still investing in that organization and the people that are in it. Josh,
I love how you brought up
would love to
SNAFA.
hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I love how you brought up SNAFA perfectly. I've learned a lot from them. I think the one gem that has shaped my success, or shaped our success, is that no matter what challenges come your way, really invest in that support group that you have to move and propel a vision forward. I was, depending on the day that you talk to me, I'll say I was fortunate, I wasn't fortunate, to be probably the first and hopefully the only individual that has had to step up as national president. And learning from that, I had to really invest in my support group. And that was a challenge because NAPA is a national platform. So you think about it, over 5,000 students, over 100 chapters across the country, several initiatives, new initiatives that have come since we've left. The organization is doing incredible things, and how I have given back is really showcasing and being not afraid to showcase my failures and my shortcomings. So I really have showcased our shortcomings to all of the former presidents of the organization. I let them know, like, what worked, what did not work, opportunities for them to improve in their leadership, and then also trying to make sure that we give them room to grow, because we had room to grow. And so making sure that you allow that space for them to create their own opportunities. And so as I'm thinking about those STEM students that may be looking to go into a national leadership position, don't be afraid of the challenges that come with being a national leader. I'm one that I will openly admit I did not want to run for national office. Okay, I'll admit that. But have I not gone through the process of SNAFA, I would not know my brother on this call. And I honestly would say that would have been a traumatic, not even traumatic, not the right word, but a very much sorrowful kind of decision if I didn't know my brother on the call, because who has impacted my life and continues to impact my life and will continue to impact the life of his nieces and nephews. that will come in the future. So it's always very important to be careful of what you say no to and be careful what you say yes to. And don't be afraid of the challenges that a national title or a leadership position can hold. You should go for it. For those individuals that are in a professional organization, you're in the profession now, don't be afraid to go for a national officer position or a national committee position ever. I've done that. And I think that's one of the things that I can share my own success with is that even though I was afraid, my actions show that I'm going to say yes to an opportunity or even an obstacle or a challenge that I'm going to overcome. So never be afraid to overcome a hurdle or a challenge because you're going to learn and grow from it. And so that's something that I've learned when you're talking about shaping our success or shaping my success. Pills to this day takes on challenges every single day that we may not want to say yes to, but we're going to do it for the betterment of our community and supporting our supporters in the future and also behind us at the same time. So that's something else I want to share. But George, I have a question. And my questions could be very thought-provoking and so you probably don't know what's coming. But what has been the biggest challenge you have had to overcome when you talk that has shaped your success today? So once again, what is the biggest challenge you had to overcome that has shaped your success to date?
The funny thing is, I was listening to Tristan Walker today. So Tristan Walker, he's the founder of Bevel, and I've had the pleasure of both meeting him live and talking to him live a couple of times, but then hearing him speak probably 5 times. And he has, to be honest, because he's media trained, he shares some of the same like stories over and over again. But he just did you can look it up on YouTube in terms of views from the top. And it's conversations at Stanford with senior level leaders, CEOs and stuff like that. And the funny thing is his last question was that question. He says in interviews, he likes to ask people, because if you got to him, that means the team is met to make sure that you're good enough to do the job. And what he wants to know is, he wants to know about your grit and wants to know about your inner values. And he's asked over hundreds of people in hundreds of interviews. That's his last question. What is the toughest challenge that you've had? And his answer, he said, in all the hundreds of interviews, there's only been one time it hasn't been work related. It's always been personal. It's been marriage or divorce or something with family. And so I gave that soliloquy to share the toughest thing that I've had to overcome. I guess I kind of alluded to it before. It's like, one, growing up, I've always had to worry about technically myself and being a leader. It is like the toughest thing that I'm still overcoming now is being a true partner to another human being. And so people think that once you get, just to get to the point, the fact that I'm now a fiance, it's different than when I was a boyfriend. And I know it's going to be different when I become a husband and a father. I'm going to have to worry about beyond my wife, worry about my kids and things. And so the toughest thing that I've had to continue to overcome is just being a true partner to another human being. That's personal and personally. And I think even as we talk about our success, I think even this organization, it's thought of the career, it's thought of the student. And I think what makes us unique and special is our ability to make things personal. Whether you're a leader, you're a marketer, you're a financial executive, your ability to bring the human to the numbers, to the marketing, that's the true challenge. And those are the people who do it well. And so as I've continued to think, the first answer used to always be, hey, some professional challenge that I've had. But I think the good challenge, or the good thing that I'm continuing to hone in on over and over again, is my ability to be the best partner that I can be to Portia Jordan.
Okay. I know my queen Portia, my queen says she ready for that answer, but I'll touch a little bit about that as well. I think something that either you're in a relationship or you're in a partnership, whether it's professional, you're engaged or anything like that, is overcoming your assumptions. A lot of times we go into relationships, dating, marriage, with assumptions, but you can also do that in your own professional life, work, business, organizations, and things like that. I think it's key to really stick with the facts. One, what do you want? Have you told your partner, whether it's your spouse, significant other, or your business partner, have you both discussed what you want, and have you set the tone and the pace for the vision that you want to see in this business or personal relationship? The second thing is, okay, what's facts and what is something that you made up? So when you're thinking about your assumptions, are they based in facts? Probably not. So what are the facts, and how do you really grow into the facts to really understand truth? Because in truth, there is freedom of that. Because freedom of, I have to live up to these unrealistic expectations, freedom to, I have to do A, B, and C to get to the next goal. Those assumptions are meaningless if we really stick with the facts and the truth. And I think the third one, and George, you mentioned that, is really being communicative. You have to be able to be vulnerable, transparent, and communicate with each other. And I think that's something that I'm even growing in my own relationship, as a fiance as well, but also as a business partner. So George and I, we are literally doing life together, and literally, things have shifted a lot in our brotherhood over the years, especially coming from when my big brother had to tell me what to wear as vice president of a national conference, to the point where I'm helping him, whether it's spiritually, or even trying to just get things with business related, or even being president and CEO of the organization. Once again, we can't base upon assumptions, or oh, that's just George, so I'm just going to assume stuff. No, our relationship will grow beyond that. I have to communicate what my needs are. I have to really express where we're going and what's the vision. And we both have to agree on that tone of the relationship. So I think that's great advice, bro. I really appreciate your transparency, not only from a personal standpoint, but it could kind of tie into a professional thing. So those students that are going into a certain profession, do your research, do your homework. Those professionals thinking about trying to transition into something, don't assume anything. Do your research. Talk to people. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to cold call people and say, hey, I know that you're interested, that you're in this role. I would love to learn some things about you. How can we really connect? So once again, it's all about being transparent, but also being a partner with those individuals that are around you, whether it's in your circle, your immediate circle, or your circle of associates. So I think that's some great advice.
Yeah, and I think you brought up something too in terms of like, yes, I said it personal, but in reflecting on some of the stuff that you're talking about, I think just to tease it all the way out, the personal, I think people also always say like keep business business and personal personal. I think I'm a firm believer, and both of us are firm believers of like the harmony of the two. And while you can't have that with everything, I think to strive to not have silos, even in your professional life, the way that whether you are a junior person or a senior person, you're bringing in the personal side to your work relationships, and you're bringing also showcasing some of the professional. There's things that work at work that maybe you want to bring into your personal side, i.e., you have meetings that you put on the calendar every single week. How are you putting meetings on a calendar for you and your significant other? You don't talk to your significant other a certain type of way. How about you're doing that too with like your junior associates or your boss? And so just finding the things that work across both and bringing the harmony across. I think that is also something that not only we're doing here at Pills as we get to build this organization to the way we want it, i.e., it started as a service organization, a nonprofit, and we said like, hey, we're starting to see a lot of our students, our proteges, continue to lead at the professional stage, and how do we support them there? Or we're starting to see holistically our profession of pharmacy expanding to healthcare and beyond it. How do we have and develop the platform instead of trying to only look at other organizations to do that? How about we help to build that ourselves as well and partner with them? And so we get to take the best of both worlds and bring those values into where we are, and understanding that you too, as a leader or as a listener, have the agency to both bring the things that work both personally and professionally, and to produce the things you wish that existed, to innovate and invent the things that you wish existed, to really create those and connect those things that you wish existed. And we're excited to like literally living through that right now. And why we've continued to consistently be here on episode 2, and I'm putting quotes because it's our third time of being consistent. I think for us, the SOS and the Saturday or the Sundays or the Sunday sessions, and our ability to right now share our success which we broadly just said that. Whether you want to say we're successful in our relationship with one another, successful in our professional careers in healthcare, or just being successful human beings, I think it's okay to also do that. I think so many times we're afraid to say we're successful because we're still striving, which we are. We're still striding and striving to be at that next stage. But it's okay to celebrate the stage that we're in right now, and I'm excited that we get to do that.
That's
And so
hard to do.
Josh has no. Go ahead.
No, that's hard to
That's
do
hard.
though. You touched on something about celebrating, those small wins and going through the process. I think so many times we strive for perfection that we forget to really monitor and really assess how much we progress in a certain area of our lives. And sometimes that can be overbearing. At the same time, it's an opportunity for us to grow together, and at the same time, really work on and showcase, um, how much we've overcome. A lot of times, there's a lot of anxiety that weighs on us because we have not taken the time to smell the roses, if you will. So I do think that's a very important point that you brought up. So no matter where you are in your journey, take the time to really figure out where you've been, where you've grown. The fact that you may have started a class or you started school again, or that you went back for your second degree, or that you are working towards a promotion, or that fact that you interviewed, you may not have gotten it, you may not have gotten the job, but the fact that you interviewed and you believed in yourself, these are all wins that you really should take the time to take a moment and reflect and say, wow, look what I've done. Look what I was able to accomplish. Even though I may not have reached the goal, I'm going to re-strategize for that next success. And so I really want to encourage somebody to think about that, because you're right. We don't do a great job at celebrating our short-term wins.
Yeah, and what came to mind too is as we talk about shaping our success, like defining what success is and what it looks like. And sometimes it's the ultimate, i.e., I like to use sports analogies a lot. It's the Super Bowl. Um, but in order to win the Super Bowl, you got to win the game. In order to win the game, you got to win the quarter. In order to win the quarter, you got to get to practice. And so, setting up many milestones that define the steps and journey to success, and finding ways to celebrate progress. And more specifically, like right now, the lighting in this place sucks. Like as you can see, the gray and the phase and everything like that. But this is our third week in a row of us doing this after saying we would do this over a year and not making one step towards that progress outside of running an organization. So I'm super excited to share what has shaped that in terms of our time together, in terms of holding each other accountable, in terms of our partnership, but then also in terms of us continuing to connect during the week, us continuing to give each other slack, because we're both have full-time lives outside of our video. And so as we talk about the things that shape our success is also our true, genuine relationship with one another. As you've heard him say, him being Josh, yes, you can say we're coworkers, or yes, you can say we're co-founders or board members, but we're also most importantly brothers, and we definitely trust each other. We challenge each other. We do argue with one another, but then we also know at the end of the day we're on the same team, and that's both for pills and beyond. We're on the same team of sharpening each other, and making each other the best, not just with this organization, but in life. And so, as we think of shaping our success, and what you can take away from that is we've also defined what success look like, and we continue to define it and redefine it, and at the same time ensuring that in shaping it, it's about us sharing it. Like, how are we being public with our pitfalls? How are we being public with like the pearls that we're learning? There's no secrets, there's no codes, and how are we being more public about like our vision and what we're about to do? So yeah, I want to pause here and see. I know we got some. It's great to see that our numbers continue to grow. It's great to also see Ken, who continues to be engaging with us in the chat. If there's anyone else, we're live streaming on both Twitter and on YouTube, using a service called StreamYard, for our Saturday or Sunday sessions. And for those who are joining us for the first time, this is season 0. We've been able to start not season 1, but season 0 because we wanted to have a platform that gives us the flexibility and the creativity to produce, to innovate, and to create. And we want to make sure we didn't have any scripts. We come on here and we have maybe 1 or 2 things that we want to like amplify. But other than that, it's really just a session for you to publicly see how Josh and I interact on a day-to-day, because we talk pretty much every day.
We do. The one thing you mentioned that I want to just bring to everybody's attention, that if you can believe with me, the Steelers need to come back to the Super Bowl. We need to get back to the top. I know that George brought up Dallas, but I would be remiss if I didn't, yes. My fiance's family's trying to get me to become a Dallas fan.
You do live in Dallas, so
yeah,
that would be wise.
No, it ain't wise. That ain't wise. So, like I said, oh well, Ken did say something I want to bring to everybody's attention. The way that he shaped his success is through establishing a vision and setting goals to accomplish them. Having a framework is essential to help shape a success, reflecting our work ethics. That's very true. George, what do you think about that?
I think it's true. It to be honest, speaks to some of the things that we've shared so far, not just today, but over the last couple of episodes, in terms of, first off, having a vision of where you want to go and establishing that, like making it clear, and then breaking those down into like mini milestones. But then also like very specifically having a framework so that you're not going to have everything and all the answers, but you have a frame, you have something that's going to help hold on to that. And then it's rooted in work ethic. Like you have to do the work. All that creativity and envisioning is important, but you do have to roll your hands up and do the work. And so I think that's very, very important and very, very good. Very, very good at highlighting that.
Yeah, you can't be afraid to do the work. Gotta get your hands dirty. And when you're building something or when you're birthing something, as our theme last year was birth, the birthing process is not easy. Ask any mother, they'll tell you that, right? The birthing process is not easy. The pain that you have to go through to birth something into this world is unheard of. That's why there's an epidural for that, right? You really need to get your hands dirty. Sometimes it's long hours. Sometimes you put something forward into the atmosphere and clearly failed, didn't work, and that's okay. Get back up, try again. It's all about making sure you are pushing and propelling the vision forward to create pathways for other people. Yes, there's 4 P's in that, if you caught that. That's what it's all about. Making sure that you are doing that work, because it's going to take work to grow something. That's in anything, any relationship, any success, any company, business, enterprise. It's going to take work.
Yeah. So I think like we've been, how do I put this, riffing on a couple of things. I want to get a little specific. Josh, have you had anything this week or today that has given you, I'm gonna call it a framework, but as like, let me ask the question better, because I already see where my mind is going and it's not going to be specific enough. I'll say, has there been any person or any quote that you've heard this week that has given you new insight into a different way of obtaining success? Any person share a quote, had any experience? I know today's Sunday, so maybe you had church and there was something that was shared, and it doesn't have to be. I'm just saying, hey, as we think of something very specific and tangible, is there something that you would want to share with the people?
Ooh, yes. So we went to church today, and I think the one thing that stood out to me that cut to the core was, in any sense, before you can lead others, you have to lead yourself first. And so how you do that? Your success in your relationship, in your business, is a reflection or a mirror of you. And so, there has to be a structure that, you adhere to, because once again, if there's no structure, you get frustrated at the very thing that you're frustrated in with yourself. And so you have to make sure that you work on yourself first and really take an inventory and an audit as to where you are, where your head is at, and where your mind is at. And that was from Dr. Conway at One Community. He was talking about that in the context of marriage, but I kind of broadened it to be, specific for anybody that is trying to start something. Make sure you do an inventory of yourself first. And before you say you want that top spot, that CEO, that president, or that director role, or anything like that, how good are you at leading yourself first? And have you thought about that? I know I'm thinking about it, and as I'm going to my next phase in my personal life, woo, we got some work. Thank God for therapy. But literally, how are you leading yourself? If I could be, transparent, how are you leading yourself? I think that was the biggest thing that I did not think about before um, asking the question of "Will you marry me?" or um, asking, even asking myself if I want to be president and CEO. I didn't ask myself or take inventory of how am I leading me? How am I doing that? Because you can go through the motions every day and think like you're good, like you're doing okay. You're not the best, you're not perfect, but you're making strides. But I think it's very important to really do that assessment of how are you leading you.
I love it. I love it. I looked back on my church notes, and again, I know this is Sunday, and I know not everyone believes, so I'm definitely aware of that. But I do know that there are believers, and so I also believe in the power of three, and so I definitely want to share three thoughts around some new things that I learned today. Today specifically, I had some thoughts around the week, but as Josh was talking, I thought that it was important for me to share some of the learning that I learned today specifically. So I talked about Tristan Walker earlier. So now I'll go to Mike Todd, who I believe is not just an amazing speaker, preacher, pastor, but he's shown with his hands the power of what he's been able to do as the lead pastor of Transformation Church over the last 8 years. And he's speaking on a series now called Kingdom. And today's was specifically around dominion and dominating. And I think the three things that I want to share, and then I'll break them down after, was the first one was in repetition, there is revelation. I'll say it again. In repetition, when you do something over and over and over again, there is the ability to have things revealed differently because you're doing it over and over again and you're seeing something, if you slow it down, new. The second thing was you as a person, you are designed for dominion. You're designed to dominate. You're not designed to just be here. You're designed to dominate. Um, and the last thing tied to that is you cannot dominate what you cannot define. I'll say it again. You cannot dominate what you cannot define. And so as I think of those three things, for me, in repetition, there's revelation. I think of just even going to using what Josh just mentioned in terms of leading yourself. Am I taking the time needed to wake up at a specific time for me, anytime between 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to work out? By working out, it's not just working out, it's working out and having time to myself before having time for anybody else. And really using that time to really think about the day and what I have to do. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But even in doing that, as you hear me speak, the repetition of doing that, that being working out, can be sometimes just taking that time, that hour, that 2 hours. I can maybe not go work out weights, but work out my thoughts and write down a vision. I can maybe not just write down that vision all that time, but then use that time to research. But it's just the repetition of waking up. Am I waking up? In repetition, there's revelation. As that goes to the next, in terms of being, are you designed? You mean not are you? It's a declaration. You are designed to dominate. So you're not here to just be on the team. You're here to win championships. You're not here just to be a person or a pharmacist. You're here to be a healthcare leader. You're not just here to provide health. Because you provided so much health, you're also here to provide wealth. You are designed, like you were born, your purpose to dominate. And then lastly, but dominate what? Like you cannot dominate what you cannot define. And so are you defining the place where you're supposed to dominate? Josh and I have defined that, hey, pills is going to be something we do for the rest of our lives. We started as a nonprofit, but hey, we are defining that, hey, we're going to expand into the for-profit space. And in doing so, we don't have all the answers, Sway, but we know what we do have the answers to is we know how to learn technology and start talking on a podcast. With started with 2 people, had 6 to 8 people, now it's 10 people, and we know that this is literally just episode 2. When we fast forward to episode 200 and we have other 2 million people watching, we know that it was a repetition of coming here on Saturday or Sunday to make that happen. We have defined that so that we know that when we win, when we dominate, we said it, we defined it, and when it happens, we can have it recorded that we told you so. And so we're just using these examples to share those 3 things. In repetition, there's revelation. You are designed to dominate, but you cannot dominate what you do not define. Define what you want, define what you're going to do. Put in the work, roll your hands up, get a partner or 2, and go make it happen. That is how we should shape our success.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to shower one moment. My bad. It is Sunday. Showing on a Sunday. What? Okay, go ahead, Pastor George. Anyway, no, that's dope. I can't wait to listen to the message. And so I think when you say all those things, one thing that continues to always pop up in any book that you read, scripture, repetition, 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 repetition. When you repeat something, it's ingrained in you. And I think that's something that when you repeat success, it'll always resonate with you. And when you always sow in good ground, and when you always are being steadfast on what your goals are, success is inevitable, and you'll be able to dominate. So I really appreciate you sharing those points, Gio. That really hit home, and I hope it hit home with all of you guys. And I'm not remiss on what George said. When we get to 200 million or 2 million people, 2 million subscribers, that is crazy. But it's crazy until it happens, right? So definitely excited for it to come. You heard it here. He put it out. He put it out there, and of course, once again, you can be like, "Whoo, okay, George, that's a lot. That's doing a lot. Wait a minute, why'd you say that? Whatever. That could have been the old Josh. You never know." But now, hearing it and really believing it, because we're doing the work, we're getting our hands dirty. We talked about it earlier. It's going to happen as long as we repeat what we want to see and we dominate what we're defining here today. And so that's what you get to see. You're going to see the fruit of our labor, essentially, is what he's also saying. So, George, I know it's almost like the 45-minute mark. Do you have anything else that you want to say, or is there anything else that the group wants to hear? Just double checking the chat to make sure that we didn't miss anything.
Yeah, I think I'll bring it all the way home to pills. I think also sharing our successes, also understanding like, hey, when we have to make a little bit of pivots. I think last episode we shared that this upcoming Tuesday we were going to be having a public sharing or showing of some of the things we've been working on. We're not ready, so we're not going to do it this Tuesday. We're going to do it March 7th. That's the new time and date. We're going to leverage this week to actually get with our team and do the work we should have did last week. But hey, last week I had a lot of stuff going on for school. Josh had a lot of stuff going on for work, and it just did not work. And it is okay. That's what happens when you get to run an organization. You get to switch up when things happen. But you will also start to see some of the promotions for that. But you're hearing it here first now. But you'll see some of the promotions for that on our social media platforms, but then also our emails, letters. What is still the same, though, is we're still open to looking for help in 3 core areas. We're still looking for people who love to serve in our marketing area, in our operations area, and then also in our finance area. And so for whether you have 2 to 3 months, 2 to 3 weeks, or 2 to 3 hours, we have a space for you. We'd love to get you involved in some of the work that we're doing on our both for-profit and not-profit side. And as we're looking forward to shaping our success, both Josh and I, well, at least I will. I know Josh is looking for it, but I will be at the SNAFA conference, regional conference that's coming up in DC. And so we're looking forward to having me and a couple of others as we have our first live, what are we calling it?
I just said live connection session, but y'all can
Live
name
connection
it,
session.
you
We'll
know,
probably name it something better, but for
supporting
now,
our
it's our
supporters.
first. For now in DC, the March 11th weekend, we're gonna have a pop up, and who knows, we might have some special guests. We might have some sponsorships, but we're excited to see more people in person. And if you're not already, tap into our group me. We love the support that we're continuing to get, and we're continuing to see our subscribers grow even in front of our eyes. So thank you all for all your support.
All right. Well, Georgia won't be serving on a Sunday if we didn't serve them some tunes right before we leave.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I
But
already forgot.
see, that's why we remind each other. Remember, supporting our supports. You know. All right.
I gotta get a lot of.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We'll see you guys soon. Enjoy your week.
Anybody?